Close your eyes for a moment and feel the weight of your body on the chair beneath you. Imagine that this simple seat, often overlooked, could become a gateway to strength, balance, and independence. Every joint, every muscle, every nerve is capable of adaptation, even now after 60. The body, like water, remembers its flow. It responds to gentle guidance, to mindful movement, to intention. And today we will explore how the chair you sit on can become a tool for reclaiming vitality, step by careful step. Balance is one of those qualities we often take for granted until it begins to falter. A subtle skill that integrates our inner ear, our muscles, and the neural networks that connect sensation to action. It is not merely the ability to stand upright or walk without wobbling. Balance is a continuous conversation between body and mind, a dynamic process of sensing, adjusting, and responding to the shifting forces around us. As we age, this conversation can become quieter, the signals slower, the adjustments less precise, yet the potential to strengthen it remains profound. Even while seated, the body can learn, adapt, and refine these mechanisms, reminding us that stability is not reserved for the young or the physically elite, but is a capacity accessible to anyone willing to engage attentively with their own movement. When we perform simple chair exercises, we are inviting our body to remember its innate sense of equilibrium, to recalibrate the intricate interplay between vestibular input from the inner ear, proprioceptive feedback from muscles and joints, and the subtle commands transmitted through the nervous system. These exercises may appear gentle, even minimal, but their impact on the body's balance systems is significant. Each deliberate motion challenges the muscles responsible for maintaining posture and activates the neural circuits that coordinate timing, tension, and alignment. When we lift a leg while seated, extend an arm, or gently twist the torso, the brain must process the information, predict the effect of the movement, and direct the body to adjust accordingly, reinforcing pathways that preserve stability in more complex actions, such as standing or walking. The simplicity of the movement belies the sophistication of the underlying biological response, a reminder that the body's ability to learn and adapt does not diminish with age, but only requires the right stimuli and consistent attention. There is a profound elegance in this process. Even seated, the muscles along the spine, the small stabilizing muscles around the hips, and the fine muscles in the ankles and feet are subtly engaged, maintaining tension and control as the body responds to gravity's pull. This engagement strengthens not only the physical structures, but also the internal sense of where the body exists in space, known as proprioception. Proprioception is a hidden sense, one we often overlook until it is impaired. Yet it is essential for everyday activities, from reaching for a cup to climbing stairs, from adjusting our posture while reading to responding quickly if we stumble. Chair exercises stimulate proprioceptive awareness by requiring the body to make micro-adjustments in real time. When a foot is lifted slightly off the floor, or the torso shifts forward, the muscles and nerves send rapid feedback to the brain, creating a loop of action and response that enhances the precision of movement. Over time, this loop becomes more efficient, restoring confidence in mobility and reducing the fear of falling, which itself can be a limiting factor in physical activity. Beyond the purely physiological effects, engaging in balance-focused chair exercises cultivates a subtle mental discipline. Each movement requires focus, mindfulness, and attunement to one's own body, reinforcing a quiet awareness of how each part contributes to overall stability. This awareness translates into everyday life, making ordinary actions less prone to error and more intentional. It is an intimate partnership with one's own body, a daily rehearsal of resilience that, while unseen by the outside world, profoundly shapes how a person inhabits space. Science supports this practice through studies showing that targeted balance training, even when performed in a seated position, improves postural control, reaction time, and coordination in older adults. The nervous system remains plastic throughout life, capable of strengthening existing connections and forming new ones in response to consistent, purposeful activity. By focusing on slow, controlled, and precise movements, seniors activate these neural mechanisms, reinforcing pathways that may have weakened over time and counteracting the natural decline that comes with aging. The body, in response, adapts by increasing muscle tone, improving joint stability, and fine-tuning the timing of muscular contractions, all contributing to a more secure and confident posture. There is also a subtle interplay between the muscular and the cardiovascular systems during chair exercises. As muscles contract, even gently, they stimulate circulation, improving oxygen and nutrient delivery to tissues and maintaining the responsiveness of the sensory receptors that inform balance. This interconnectedness reminds us that balance is not an isolated skill, but an emergent property of a well-coordinated body. Furthermore, the mental engagement required during these exercises enhances concentration and reaction time, creating a bridge between cognitive function and physical stability. By attending to the sensations of movement, the feeling of weight shifting, and the engagement of stabilizing muscles, seniors cultivate a holistic sense of control over their bodies. Even minor improvements in balance can have cascading effects: reduced risk of falls, increased independence, greater confidence in movement, and enhanced sense of autonomy. It is a practice that honors the complexity of the human body while acknowledging the limitations that come with age, showing that the pursuit of stability is not about denying the natural course of life, but about working with it intelligently and compassionately. Each session spent on chair exercises is an investment in the body's adaptive capacity, a dialogue with the nervous system and musculature, and an affirmation that aging does not mean surrendering the ability to move with grace, stability, and confidence. Strength is often imagined as something visible, a measure of how much weight we can lift or how far we can reach. But true strength is subtler than appearances suggest. It is the capacity of muscles to generate force, yes, but also the resilience of tendons, the stability of joints, and the integration of multiple systems working together to support movement, posture, and everyday function. After 60, the body experiences a natural decline in muscle mass and fiber quality, a process known as sarcopenia, which can make even familiar tasks feel more challenging. Yet this decline is not a fixed destiny. The human body, remarkable in its adaptability, responds to appropriate stimuli at any age, and strength can be rebuilt, nurtured, and refined through consistent, intentional activity, even when performed from a chair. Seated exercises may seem modest, but they are biologically potent. When a senior performs a leg extension, a seated row, or a gentle arm press, the muscles contract, fibers are recruited, and microscopic stresses are applied to tissue in a way that encourages growth, adaptation, and endurance. These small contractions signal the body to maintain protein synthesis, strengthen connective tissues, and improve neural communication with the muscles, all of which underpin functional strength. What makes chair-based exercises particularly effective is their capacity to isolate and engage muscle groups without overloading the body or compromising safety. Singers can target the quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, and core muscles while remaining supported, reducing the risk of falls or strain while still achieving meaningful physiological impact. The slow, controlled nature of the movement is essential, as it maximizes muscle fiber recruitment and stimulates the nervous system to coordinate activity efficiently. Strength is not only about size, but about timing, endurance, and control. And these qualities can flourish with seated exercises because they encourage mindful engagement of each muscle rather than relying on momentum or compensatory movements. There is also an often overlooked neurological dimension to rebuilding strength. Muscles do not act in isolation. They are guided by the nervous system, which sends precise electrical signals to fibers, coordinating contraction and relaxation in harmony. Seated exercises challenge the nervous system to communicate effectively with muscles, refining motor unit recruitment, improving coordination, and reinforcing the brain-body connection that underpins controlled, stable movements. This cognitive muscular dialogue ensures that strength is functional, applicable to real-world actions such as rising from a chair, carrying groceries, or navigating stairs, and not merely theoretical or aesthetic. Moreover, rebuilding strength from a seated position encourages balance between opposing muscle groups, preventing asymmetry and joint strain. By engaging both anterior and posterior muscles, or pushing and pulling motions, seniors create a foundation of even tension, promoting joint stability, protecting against injury, and enhancing overall mobility. The interplay of muscle recruitment, connective tissue resilience, and neural precision reveals that strength is a systemic property rather than an isolated attribute. Repetition over time amplifies these benefits. Even brief sessions, when performed consistently, trigger adaptations in muscle fibers, including hypertrophy of type I and type II fibers, improve mitochondrial function, and enhance capillary density, which collectively support endurance, power, and metabolic health. Muscles respond not only to the magnitude of force, but also to the frequency and quality of engagement, and chair exercises allow for controlled, repeatable practice that optimizes these variables without overexertion. There is also a profound psychological dimension to rebuilding strength. Each successful repetition reinforces confidence, combats the fear of frailty, and fosters a sense of accomplishment. Seniors come to realize that strength is not something that slips irrevocably with age, but something that can be reclaimed, nurtured, and expressed in ways that enhance independence and quality of life. Even subtle improvements, such as being able to extend a leg fully, lift the arm higher, or maintain posture with ease, have cascading effects, enabling more fluid movement in everyday activities and supporting the body's natural resilience against fatigue and injury. Nutrition, hydration, and recovery work synergistically with exercise, but the act of engaging the muscles is the primary signal that triggers adaptive growth. In essence, rebuilding strength through chair exercise is an intimate dialogue with the body, a patient and deliberate conversation that honors biological processes while gently pushing boundaries, reminding us that age is not a barrier to resilience and that functional strength can be cultivated, maintained, and celebrated at every stage of life. Movement, even gentle movement performed from a chair, has profound effects on circulation and the health of joints. An interplay that is often underestimated yet vital for vitality in later years. As we age, blood flow naturally slows, arteries lose some elasticity, and muscles, when unused, receive less oxygen and fewer nutrients. Seated exercises create a rhythmic stimulus that encourages the heart to pump efficiently, sending oxygen-rich blood through the vessels to nourish muscles, ligaments, and connective tissues. Each contraction of a muscle acts like a small pump, aiding venous return and facilitating the removal of metabolic waste, while the gentle motion of joints encourages synovial fluid to circulate, lubricating surfaces and reducing stiffness. This is particularly significant for knees, hips, shoulders, and the spine, areas that often bear the weight of age-related degeneration. By lifting a leg, extending an arm, or rotating the torso, even modestly, the body experiences increased perfusion and subtle joint mobilization, which strengthens cartilage, maintains elasticity in ligaments, and preserves the range of motion necessary for daily activities. There is a feedback loop at work. The more circulation and mobility are stimulated, the more the joints remain supple, and the more the muscles and vascular system respond positively to exercise. The interconnectedness of these systems highlights the principle that no part of the body functions in isolation. Enhanced circulation benefits not only muscles and joints, but also skin, organs, and the nervous system, promoting overall physiological resilience. Regular engagement in seated exercises can prevent the sensation of stiffness that often discourages movement, creating a cycle of activity that reinforces itself. The gentle stretches and extensions performed while seated encourage alignment and posture, reducing pressure on vulnerable joints while still promoting strength and mobility. This encourages a subtle neuromuscular training where the brain learns the optimal patterns of movement and the muscles respond with improved coordination, contributing further to stability and confidence. Beyond the physical mechanisms, There is a psychological dimension. When seniors feel their joints move more freely and circulation supports warmth, comfort and vitality, they are more likely to embrace continued activity. Even modest improvements such as reduced swelling, less morning stiffness or smoother movement when standing from the chair have meaningful impacts on daily life, enabling independence and reinforcing the habit of movement. From a physiological perspective, these effects are supported by the body's remarkable adaptability. Increased blood flow enhances oxygen delivery, accelerates tissue repair, and stimulates cellular activity that preserves joint integrity. Muscles, when repeatedly engaged, also assist in maintaining joint stability, protecting against misalignment, and supporting the skeletal system. Every movement, no matter how small, is a reminder that circulation and mobility are interconnected, that maintaining joint health is both preventive and restorative, and that seated exercises are a powerful tool to harmonize these processes, demonstrating that age is not a barrier to preserving function, comfort, and the quiet grace of motion. The connection between mind and motion is profound, intricate, and often overlooked, particularly as we age. Movement is not purely mechanical. It is a conversation between the brain, the nervous system, and the muscles, a dialogue that shapes perception, coordination, and even the way we think. Every deliberate motion, even one performed while seated, engages neural circuits responsible for planning, execution, and feedback, reinforcing the pathways that allow us to move with confidence and precision. Chair exercises may appear simple at first glance, yet each extension of the leg, each lift of the arm, each subtle twist of the torso requires the brain to integrate sensory information, anticipate the effect of the movement, and orchestrate muscular contraction in a harmonious rhythm. This engagement strengthens not only the body but also the mind, sharpening focus, reaction time, and awareness of the body's position in space, a sense called proprioception, which is essential for preventing falls and maintaining fluid, coordinated movements. Neuroscience tells us that the nervous system remains plastic throughout life, capable of forming new connections and reinforcing existing ones in response to consistent, purposeful activity. Chair exercises provide the ideal stimulus for this plasticity, creating repeated patterns of movement that challenge both the mind and body, reinforcing pathways that may have weakened due to age, disuse, or injury. This cognitive engagement is subtle yet powerful. When a senior lifts a leg and maintains balance, the brain is simultaneously processing input from the inner ear, the visual system, and pressure sensors in the feet, sending signals to muscles to contract or relax as needed. Timing, strength, and coordination of these contractions are refined with each repetition, creating a seamless integration of intention and action. The benefits of this integration extend beyond physical stability. Cognitive functions such as attention, memory, and problem solving are stimulated by the deliberate focus required during these exercises. When we move with mindfulness, we activate regions of the brain associated with planning, executive function, and spatial awareness, essentially exercising the mind alongside the body. This dual engagement illustrates the profound truth that movement and cognition are not separate domains, but interdependent systems that influence one another in subtle, continuous ways. Chair exercises also foster a heightened sense of body awareness and attunement to subtle sensations, alignment, and effort that enhances mindfulness. This awareness can carry into everyday life, influencing posture, gait, and the ability to respond rapidly to unexpected changes in the environment. When the mind is actively engaged in movement, it becomes more adept at predicting and correcting imbalances, reducing the likelihood of falls or injuries. Furthermore, the repetitive nature of controlled movements strengthens neural efficiency, reinforcing motor memory and enhancing the ability to perform both simple and complex tasks with precision. Beyond the neurological and cognitive benefits, there is an emotional dimension to this mind-body interplay. Seniors who practice mindful chair exercises often report a sense of accomplishment, calm, and confidence, knowing that each motion contributes to stability, strength, and functional independence. The mind perceives these small gains as meaningful, fostering motivation, consistency, and a willingness to continue engaging in physical activity. This psychological reinforcement is crucial because the fear of frailty or falling can limit movement, creating a cycle of inactivity that weakens both body and mind. Chair exercises, by providing a safe, supported environment, break this cycle, allowing seniors to explore their capacity for movement without risk, rebuilding both confidence and cognitive resilience simultaneously. The coordination of breath, muscle activation, and neural control during each movement exemplifies the integration of mind and body, highlighting how seemingly simple exercises can stimulate profound adaptive responses. The brain learns to anticipate, correct, and refine actions. The muscles respond with precision, and the joints maintain alignment, creating a dynamic system that is both robust and flexible. This holistic engagement demonstrates that maintaining cognitive sharpness is inseparable from maintaining physical control. Even brief, consistent practice can enhance neural connectivity, strengthen proprioceptive awareness, and sharpen reaction times, contributing not only to stability but to overall mental acuity. In essence, the act of moving mindfully while seated is a form of mental exercise as much as it is physical exercise, a practice that nurtures awareness, coordination, and confidence, and reinforces the intimate relationship between thought and action, showing that the pathways of the mind remain active, adaptable, and vital well into later years, responding to intentional movement with profound and measurable benefits. There is a subtle but powerful force that underlies all physical activity in later life, a force that extends beyond the muscles, the joints, and even the neural pathways, and that is the cultivation of confidence through habit. Confidence is not a superficial feeling but a deeply embodied state, rooted in the knowledge that the body can respond, adapt, and sustain itself. For seniors, confidence in movement is particularly significant because the fear of falling or injury can be as limiting as physical frailty itself. Every action taken from a place of awareness, every stretch, lift, or twist performed intentionally reinforces the understanding that the body is capable, resilient, and responsive. Habits, small but consistent, serve as the scaffold upon which this confidence is built. Chair exercises, repeated daily or several times a week, create predictable patterns of engagement that train not only muscles and joints, but also the mind to trust its own capacities. The repetition of movement, the rhythm of intentional motion, and the focused attention required transform simple exercises into a ritual of empowerment, a dialogue between intention and embodiment. When a senior performs a leg lift or an arm extension and experiences the smooth execution of the movement, the body registers success and the mind encodes a pattern of capability. This process is cumulative. Each session strengthens the neural pathways that control motion, reinforces proprioception, and deepens the belief in the body's potential. Over time, these small, deliberate actions aggregate into significant improvements in both physical function and self-assurance. There is also a psychological principle at play. Humans are inherently adaptive, and repeated experience shapes expectation. When movement is practiced safely and consistently, the fear of instability diminishes. The anticipation of difficulty is replaced by the recognition of competence, and the act of sitting upright, lifting a limb, or maintaining posture becomes not a challenge to be feared, but an opportunity to engage, learn, and reinforce bodily autonomy. Habits of movement, even if brief, set in motion a cascade of physiological and cognitive benefits. Each repetition of a seated exercise activates muscle fibers, stimulates circulation, and engages neural networks, creating a feedback loop in which the body becomes stronger, more coordinated, and more responsive. This loop in turn reinforces confidence as the body reliably performs actions that once seemed uncertain or precarious. In addition, the habit of regular exercise fosters consistency and discipline, qualities that extend beyond the chair and into broader aspects of life. The simple commitment to daily movement becomes a metaphor for agency, demonstrating that even incremental effort produces meaningful change. This principle is especially significant for seniors, for whom independence and the ability to navigate daily life safely are central to quality of life. Chair exercises, by their very nature, create a sense of accessibility. They remove barriers such as fear of falls, joint strain, or exhaustion, making movement achievable in a controlled, supported environment. This accessibility encourages engagement, and repeated engagement transforms the practice into habit. The nervous system, muscles, and joints adapt not only to the mechanical demands of the exercise, but also to the regularity and predictability of practice, forming patterns that support fluid movement in other contexts. Confidence, therefore, fluid movement in other contexts. Confidence, therefore, is reinforced on multiple levels: muscular, neural, and psychological. The act of practicing habitually also creates a sense of mastery over one's own body. Mastery is not measured by the ability to perform extreme feats, but by the capacity to execute intentional movement with awareness, precision, and control. Each completed repetition is a small victory, a tangible demonstration that the body responds reliably to effort, that the neural pathways are active and adaptive, and that the muscles, joints, and connective tissues can cooperate effectively to maintain posture, balance, and strength. These small victories accumulate, fostering a mindset in which seniors perceive themselves as capable and resilient rather than fragile or limited. Moreover, habits of movement have a self-reinforcing quality that extends beyond the immediate physical benefits. The expectation of competence encourages further engagement, and the anticipation of improvement motivates repetition. This creates a positive feedback loop in which confidence and habit support one another, amplifying the gains achieved from each session. Even modest exercises, when performed consistently, cultivate a sense of rhythm and predictability in daily life, reducing anxiety about movement and enabling seniors to approach activity with intentionality rather than hesitation. There is also a social and emotional dimension to confidence built through habit. Seniors who maintain regular chair exercise routines often experience a sense of autonomy and agency, feeling capable of participating in family activities, social interactions, or recreational pursuits without fear or limitation. The psychological benefits of routine movement extend beyond self-perception, influencing mood, motivation, and a sense of purpose, all of which contribute to overall well-being. On the physiological level, repeated engagement strengthens muscle fibers, enhances joint stability, and improves neural efficiency, creating a body that reliably supports motion. The circulatory, musculoskeletal, and nervous systems are conditioned to anticipate, respond, and adapt to repeated stimuli, enhancing functional independence in everyday tasks. This functional independence is itself a source of confidence, as the body demonstrates its capacity to respond to challenges and navigate the environment safely and efficiently. Habitual movement also encourages resilience in the face of age-related changes. When seniors engage consistently with chair exercises, the body becomes accustomed to regular activation, and minor variations in strength, balance, or coordination are less likely to undermine confidence. The mind learns that effort produces results, that consistency matters more than intensity, and that small, deliberate actions can sustain independence and vitality. In this sense, competence and habit are inseparable. Confidence emerges from the knowledge that repeated practice produces reliable outcomes, and habit is reinforced by the sense of capability and assurance that each successful movement brings. Over weeks and months, these intertwined processes create a foundation upon which seniors can maintain stability, strength, and a sense of control, reinforcing the profound insight that aging does not necessitate surrender to frailty, but offers an opportunity to cultivate mastery, resilience, and grace through intentional, consistent engagement with the body and mind.